I thought long and hard over whether I should make this video. Not because it's a controversial subject, everyone knows controversy gets views. Or the material is too boring. Anyone who follows American politics knows that this year's circus hasn't had a dull moment yet. Hell, I may be lazier than a fucking bear in winter.
Who are you?
Scruffy, a janitor.
Well, why aren't you fixing the boiler?
Schedule conflict.
But I wouldn't let that get in the way of ranting into a microphone while pretending to be funny either. No, I was worried that if I kept sucking Donald Trump's dick, I'd put Melania out of a job. And that girl has spent too long perfecting her technique to be usurped by mere amateurs such as me. It's the inevitable pitfall of this election season, isn't it? You can't talk about it without talking about Trump. Last video I wagged my finger at the simple jacks running the UK, Germany and Canada for insulting and even considering banning a man who could very well be president of the fucking United States. In my Hillary Clinton's War Against Women video, I took a detour down Can't Stump Avenue to enjoy the spectacle of someone finally calling out that old cunt bag for being as anti-feminist as Jack the Ripper. Hell, my very first prototype video for this channel was on the compliments that Russian President Vladimir Putin had given to Trump in contrasting his attitude towards Russia with those of his opponents. Due to it sucking so much ass, it made Sasha Grey look like a nun. I never uploaded it, but parts of the script were transplanted into other videos so that the few diamonds contained within may never be forgotten. We're all trapped in Trump's gravitational well, and we won't get out of it until he's either elected or his campaign crashes and burns. So, sorry Obama, your video will have to be put on the back burner, because it's once more time to go elbow deep in Trump. The National Review was founded in 1955 by William F. Buckley Jr., former CIA agent, prominent conservative figure, and writer of the Blackford Oak spy series. Described by historian George H. Nash as arguably one of the most important public intellectuals in the United States in the past half-century, Buckley is still today a man held in high regard by American conservatives. But how did his magazine catch itself on my radar? Well, it decided that it was going to take its turn on the try to stump Trump ride by publishing a special anti-Trump edition of its magazine, which included essays from conservative pundits and writers explaining their opposition to the Republican frontrunner. Trump is a philosophically unmoored political opportunist who attracts the broad conservative ideological consensus within the GOP in favor of a free-floating populism with strongman overtones, says the editorial that leads the issue. And with their opening paragraph, the National Review has told you exactly why you should be ignoring their self-righteous ass, because the ideological consensus that they're talking about is as solid as a teepee in a tornado. Since Trump roared onto the stage last year, the Republican establishment has been desperately trying to fight back and reclaim their election, and the National Review is their newest attempt at that. They're trying to push someone, anyone, but Trump into first place. Well, I'm not one to just ignore the alternatives, so let's take a look at the three non-Trumps that piss me off enough to bitch about. That isn't to say Ben Carson, Rand Paul, and the rest of the merry men don't irritate me to some degree, but it's the difference between stepping on a piece of Lego and stepping on an empty syringe that gives you HIV. Jeb Bush, less a serious candidate and more of the sad, free-legged runt trying to keep up with the rest of the litter, calls illegal immigration an act of love, and supported the removal of Confederate flags in Florida because he sees them as a symbol of racism. He has also taken funding from 60 American billionaires that also funded Hillary Clinton, because why not buy a stake in both? These billionaires include the H&A Group. The H&A Group's chairman, Chen Fang, is one of China's wealthiest businessmen and is a protege of George Soros, who in his 1998 book Crisis of Global Capitalism wrote, "To stabilize and regulate a truly global economy, we need some global system of political decision-making. In short, we need a global society to support our global economy. A global society does not mean a global state. To abolish the existence of states is neither feasible nor desirable, but insofar as there are collective interests that transcend state boundaries, the sovereignty of states must be subordinated to international law and international institutions." So you can see why I'm suspicious of anyone even remotely connected to this creature. He's so globalist he makes my teeth itch. Marco Rubio, heralded as plenty conservative by the National Review, was a member of the goddamn Gang of Eight, a complete 180 from when he ran for Senate in 2010. I am strongly against amnesty. The most important thing we need to do is enforce our existing laws. We have existing immigration laws that are not being adequately enforced. Nothing will make it harder to enforce the existing laws if you reward people who broke them. It demoralizes people who are going through the legal process. It's a very clear signal of why go through the legal process if you can accomplish the same thing if you go through the illegal process. And number two, it demoralizes the people enforcing the laws. I'm not, and I will never support any effort to grant blanket legalization or amnesty to folks who have stayed in this country illegally. Without his policy on immigration, Rubio would have lost so hard they'd have to have given him a lifetime supply of Preparation H for his butt hurt. So imagine my surprise, and no doubt the surprise of those who voted for him based on this policy, when in 2013 he and his pack of arseholes tried to push legislation that would create citizens from 30 million new immigrants, 11 million of which would be former illegals. That's plenty conservative?
Oh, wait, you serious? Let me laugh even harder.
And finally, Ted Cruz. Teddy really isn't that bad. It's probably why it's consistently polled second to Trump for so fucking long. And I am not going to touch the birth issue, because in my opinion that's not even the worst black mark on his name. That honor belongs to his wife. Oh, you haven't met Heidi yet. Ted first met her when Heidi worked on George W. Bush's presidential campaign in 2000. She was the head of the Southwest region in the Investment Management Division of Goldman Sachs, and previously worked as an investment banker for J.P. Morgan. In 2004, Heidi was also a part of the Independent Task Force on the Future of North America, which advocated a greater economic and social integration between Canada, Mexico, and the United States as a North American region. The task force released a report in 2005 that listed 8 recommendations for the Canadian, Mexican, and United States governments that included laying the groundwork for the freer flow of people within North America, increased labor mobility within North America, leading to making it much easier for employees to move and for employers to recruit across national boundaries, and finally establish a North American Interparliamentary Group. Oh, hello EU, I didn't even see you there. So let me get this fucking straight. You're asking conservatives to support a man who not only never disclosed a series of loans from Goldman Sachs, directly contradicting his claims that his bid for Senate was self-funded, and directly contradicting his criticism of Wall Street bailouts and the influence of banks in Washington. You're also asking conservatives to support a man whose wife was a managing director for Goldman Sachs when he received his loan, and in 2004 supported the North American equivalent of the European fucking Union? I'd personally rather eat a light bulb and shit broken glass than support him. 2 pro-immigration assholes, one funded by the same people as Hillary Clinton, and the other who betrayed his previous anti-immigration stance after it got him the job, and a liar married to someone whose death I'd applaud just on principle? That's great. That really is. Call me when you win the election, fucking Narnia. I'm sure Aslan would love to help you establish a political economic union with Archenland and Ettonsmore to oppose Calaman aggression. L. Brent Boswell III wrote in his contribution to the National Review, "A real conservative walks with us. Ronald Reagan read National Review and Human Events for Intellectual Sustenance, spoke annually to Conservative Political Action Conference, Young Americans for Freedom, and other organizations to rally the troops, supported Barry Goldwater when the GOP mainstream turned its back on him, raised money for countless conservative groups, wrote hundreds of op-eds, and delivered even more speeches everywhere championing our cause." Note the way he writes. Walks with us. Champion our cause. Us. Our. An attempt to create a sense of unity that only highlights the gulf between base and elite. The motherfucker's head is so far up his ass he's given his tonsils a tongue bath. He's saying right here that he and his fellow conservatives are the right wing in America. Make no mistake here, people. The collection of cunt-flaps the National Review assembled to shit out this issue did not put their words to paper out of some noble defense of conservatism. If they did, they'd have lambasted Rubio for his participation in the Gang of Eight. They'd have raked Cruz over the coals for lying over bank loans to support his campaign. They'd have released an Against Carson issue because guess what, folks? Ben Carson has several similar positions to Trump, including a shared tariff policy. No, they rally around the flag to protect the establishment. In an interview with the Daily Caller, Theodore Roosevelt Malloch, a professor at Oxford University, said it best. The motivation simply is life or death. They want their cushy jobs, going on talk shows, getting free lunches and cocktails, being important and the prestige it brings. They are in fact part of the ruling political class, and that will end under a President Trump. Doug Ibendale had a lot more to say in his response to the National Review. The Gang of 22 have officially become parodies of themselves. One would have to reach back to the days of Richard Nixon and Spiro Agnew to lift an adequate quote to describe them. Nattery nabobs of negatism, vicars of vacillation, pusillanimous pussyfooters, the decadent few, ideological eunuchs, the effete corps of impudent snobs, or the hopeless, hysterical hypochondriacs of history. Take your pick because they all apply about equally well to each and every one of them. So clueless is the Gang of 22, they can't even see how they've stumbled right into the narrative Trump's been communicating so successfully for months. Just like the elected officials from both parties, the Gang of 22 has been great at complaining about stuff year after year after year. But getting anything accomplished? Not so much. Many of the Gang of 22 have been hanging around and chattering for decades, and some are active coals in the conservative entertainment complex, deriving their income by pandering to conservative anger while offering no real solutions. Donald Trump represents a threat to these ineffectual poobahs in the same way he represents a threat to the do-nothing public officials. The GOP establishment, the effete core of impudent snobs, lost touch with its voters, and so did the candidates that had trotted out to the growing frustration of the base. Who called out the Republican Party about the fact that their stance on illegal immigrants is basically the same as Obama's? Trump. Who called out radical Islam as the cancer of the world that it is as the rest of the candidates backpedaled so hard they fell off the damn stage? Trump. Who has been leading the polls for so long it's less of a temporary state and more of a fucking scientific law? Trump. These things are not disconnected. Trump is riding the wave of anger, and the establishment is trying everything it can to stop it. What really gets me is the arrogance shown by these people. Anyone who disagrees with me isn't really a conservative. Okay, fuckface, let's look at that assertion logically. If real, red, white, and blue, star-spangled bikini, apple pie, and a goddamn 12-gauge conservatism belongs only to the Republican establishment, to people like Glenn Beck, Mona Sharon, Ben Domenech, and of course our dear friend Boesel, then real conservatives in America are one of the biggest groups of losers in political history, rivaled only by the Paris Commune and Jonestown. The last time they were fighting for something, it was for drugged-up hippie girls during the Summer of Love.
It was the 60s. Women were burning bras, men were burning women, and students protested the zombie human civil war.
Obamacare, executive amnesty to the TPP, the Dreamers, the Gang of Eight, Paul Ryan's fucking omnibus, modern-day Republicans, true conservatives, have done nothing but fail to fight for the interests of the people they're meant to represent. So if that's a goddamn real conservative, then I completely understand why so many Republican voters are looking for alternatives. Okay, that's done. It's now time to look at something else that's not Trump. Oh. Shit.